In this video, everybody, we learn how to prep a beef tenderloin. What's the best way to prep a beef tenderloin and make it come out absolutely delicious? We're going to show you. Let's get started.
Well, some of you ask, what is the best way to cook a beef tenderloin? This is part of a tenderloin that I have prepared and set in the freezer or the refrigerator for about 48 hours. As you notice, it looks a little bit dry, but that kind of helps age the tenderloin a little bit before we actually cook it. And of course, we always season them up, and you can take a whole beef tenderloin, cut it into steaks, or you can cook a semi-whole tenderloin like this. So what's the next step? We always want to sear, whether it be a steak or a whole tenderloin, you want to sear all sides of the tenderloin to lock in the flavor. So here we have put olive oil in our cast iron pan, either a flat iron grill or cast iron pan. We're going to sear up. Don't worry if you get too much in there. You can pat it out or wipe out the excess on the olive oil. And then we want to heat our cast iron pan up to about 400 degrees roughly, everybody. Now, one thing about olive oil is it has a high temp on it. So you can actually see it starting to smoke. And once we get this cast iron pan up really, really good in temperature, we're going to sear all of our sides of our beef tenderloin. So let's pull this beef tenderloin out and let's get it searing. So we're going to start by just setting it in the pan. And don't worry if it's a little bit too big. It's okay. We're going to sear it in this pan, and we're going to sear all sides. We're not going to cook it all the way through. You don't want to do that. But we're going to sear all sides of this tenderloin. So as you can see, we've got one side seared. It doesn't take long, everybody. Try not to overcook it. And we've got this side seared, and then we're searing this underside, and then I'm going to sear these bottom or these side portions over here. So we'll get those seared up and get it ready to go in the crock pot. So we're going to flip her over and put her on the side, everybody. Be sure to try to get as much of this tenderloin seared where there's no red showing on this tenderloin. So we've been on a couple of minutes on that side, so let's check it out. Still a little bit red, so if it's still a little bit red, everybody flip it back over and continue to sear the tenderloin, everyone. And one thing to note, don't put water in the cast iron pan. You want this to sear really good, so the best thing is going to be a nice, good, hot cast iron pan with some olive oil or oil of your choice, and just continue to sear it until we get it all done. And it doesn't hurt to kind of move it just a little bit so you don't have any problems with it sticking. And then we're going to flip her back over and see what we got. Okay, that's looking pretty good right there. So we're going to continue on this other side. And you know, we still have some beef. Don't get it completely seared on some of this stuff right here. Don't worry about it. But let's try to get all of those flavors locked into this tenderloin, everybody. And this is the way you do it. And then we're going to show you what's next. So it looks like our tenderloin is ready to come out of the pan and go into the crock pot. Now we've got our seared tenderloin right here, everybody, ready to go in the crock pot. But we're going to do a couple of things to this before we put it in the crock pot. We're going to wrap this tenderloin in bacon. And SSC Cooks, what's this? This is the trimmings from this tenderloin that I trimmed off. I trimmed off the fat, most of the fat, some of the layers in here. And we're going to add this to the crock pot because, everyone, this is flavor. Now, this is not necessarily what you want to eat right here. But everyone, this is flavor. So you just take your trimmings, and we're going to throw those trimmings in the crock pot with this. But first, we got to let this cool a little bit, wrap it in bacon, and then we're going in, everyone. Now make sure not to be stingy on the bacon, because bacon adds a absolute ton of flavor. And it can be a little tricky when we're wrapping this, but we're going to start wrapping this thing up. And let's see here. You just got to kind of go, you know, one dime at a time. It's like one piece of bacon at a time. And when we get this on here, we're going to wrap this in. It doesn't have to look perfect like a lot of them you see, everybody, but let's just start wrapping it the best that we can and get some bacon on this beautiful, beautiful tenderloin. So make sure not to be stingy. So we've got her wrapped up right here. And if you have some spots, don't worry about the bacon hanging. You don't necessarily have to put any of the string on these things, because it's going to cook in the crock pot with the bacon. And I'm going to take this extra bacon and kind of throw it on top. So we've got our tenderloin in the crock pot, everybody. What's next? I'm going to throw all of this goodness right in here, and it's going to cook right with the tenderloin and add flavor. What should you do next? Should we add a little bit of water? Yes, we're going to add a little bit of water for a little bit of moisture. So I'm going to add about 1 cup of water over here on the side, and we're going to put the lid on this and cover it and lock it down, everybody. And I'm going to turn this on low, and we're going to cook this tenderloin for several hours. We're going to continue to monitor the temperature with a temperature gauge and see where we're at with the internal temperatures. You want to be able to kill all of the bacteria within this tenderloin, everybody. So always monitor your temperatures, and for about a medium rare, 130 to 135 degrees will get you right around medium rare. If you want to cook it a little bit longer, 140, 145, 150 degrees, guys, will get you a little more of a cooked tenderloin. But you'll definitely, after you've gotten to the point where you want your tenderloin, to pull this tenderloin out, and don't immediately cut it. You want to let it rest for at least 20 minutes. Set and let it rest for about 20 minutes, maybe 15. And then you get to cut and eat some deliciousness. So I'm going to say, everybody, you want to cook this for several hours. Check it at about 4 hours on medium heat. You can get the crock pot up to temperature on high, and then crank it down to about medium heat, and then cook it for about between 4 and 8 hours for about this size of a tenderloin, everybody. Enjoy!